Hello, how are you? Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. Got to talk to you today about CMS and the latest available tax year. Probably not the most exciting of subjects, however, I keep on seeing online posts along the lines of I've just had my annual review and CMS are using my 21-22 tax year instead of my 22-23 tax year. Help, what do I do? They've got it wrong. Whatever. Let me explain. So, the rules are CMS have to use your latest available taxable income figure as supplied by HMRC. As supplied by HMRC. That's the key word, because actually it doesn't mean to say it's the most latest tax year, okay? It doesn't mean that, for example, today in June, they're going to use your tax year that ended on the 5th of April. And there's several reasons for that. First of all, if you do self-assessment, your tax return's not due into the 31st of January. And even if you submit it early, HMRC processes and their systems, and when they finalise tax years and make it complete and then decide they don't want to challenge it, and all their processes and procedures are geared up for your tax return going in for the 31st of January. And what they do after that, okay, is up to them. But they don't necessarily make that tax return available on the 31st of January or beforehand. So actually, when CMS are using your 21-22 tax year, in most cases, that's right, okay, particularly if you do self-assessment. Now, if you don't do self-assessment, if you are a normal employee and you've got no other income and you're a straightforward employee, as far as you're concerned, your tax year ended on the 5th of April. And this year, 5th of April 2023. So therefore, it's logical for you to expect to be billed on your 22-23 tax year. However, it's not as simple as that. It's because, again, it's the latest available tax year from HMRC, and HMRC processes don't mean that the most recent tax return is that one. For example, employers have to produce P11Ds and they form part of your taxable income. But their deadline is not the 5th of April. I think it's some point in June, possibly July. So there is a several month period whereby your latest available tax year is not the year just gone by. So most of you today in June having annual reviews will be billed on last year, i.e. 21-22. If this is August and they've gone past August, it would be different. If this is August, they should be at that point billing you on 22-23 if you're a normal taxpayer. And if you're self-assessment, again, that's slightly different. Okay, so CMS aren't wrong on this one. They are using the latest available tax year from tax data from HMRC. It just may be that your data's already gone in, you finished your bit, you think it's done, but HMRC haven't finished their bit, okay? And, that's why they do that. Now, how do you correct that? You can't. You literally can't. You cannot send in your most recent tax return, and you shouldn't either, because actually, the way it works with sort of 25% thresholds and that, you may be doing yourself a disservice. So you just have to roll with it. And remember, in a year's time, the tax return they're going to use is the next tax year. So this, if I was recording this in June, July, August 2024, I'll be talking about CMS using your 22-23 tax year rather than your 21-22 tax year. I hope that explains it. It's not too complicated, but a couple of things you need to bear in mind is the tax year is the 6th of April to the 5th of April. And because of that, and because of self-assessments, there's always delayed. So most people, I suspect, are probably using a tax year which is over 12 months old. Okay. Another one I come across the other day, someone asked on the YouTube page, if someone gets paid but they don't do overtime in the last 3 months of the year, will that reduce the CMS? Well, the answer is no, it doesn't, okay? Because CMS is based on the annual taxable income, i.e. all the taxable income between the 6th of April and the 5th of April. So it doesn't, they don't go on your last 3 pay slips. They go on whole tax years. And the reason they go on whole tax years is, one, it's easy because HMRC can just supply them the information. And 2, it smooths out the peaks and the troughs. If you're a worker, a seasonal worker, who earns an awful lot of money in the run up to Christmas, but in January earns very little, maybe because you work in a restaurant, and lots of restaurants are often closed in the first week of January, okay? The whole idea of CMS is to take the average. So on those weeks when you're up, you should put some money aside, and weeks when you're down, you should be able to dip into that pot, and that's how it works. It's all about consistency of income for the parent, but also consistency of the first person paying. Because can you imagine if you were paying, 1 week you paid £50, next week you paid £80, then £60, £100, £110, whatever. It would just, I don't know, it would just drive you, it would just make you obsessed. It just wouldn't be good. So that's how it works. So hopefully that's answered. Remember, okay, the most recent tax year is that supplied by CMS, not the most recent tax year that you've done your tax return for. Okay, so not supplied by CMS, but supplied by HMRC. Okay, so if you've done your tax return early, thinking that you would skip a year because it's beneficial, sadly you won't. And if it's the other way around, it does mean you're not going to pay the higher amount now, and that gives you a chance to save the money. You have a good evening. See you later. Goodbye.